Broadcasting from Watts Creative Studios and live on Grove Street FM. You're listening to Talk Local to Me, brought to you by the Central Virginia Business Coalition.
Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome back to Talk Local to Me. I am Heather Alto, the Executive Director of the Central Virginia Business Coalition, and your just favorite podcast host of Talk Local to Me. So back here at Watts Creative Studio, if you are new listening in today, welcome. And if you are a past listener, make sure that you are going to grovestreet.fm and subscribing, reviewing, rating, right? What are all those good things?
All the above.
All of the above. Okay, great. So I am joined in the studio today with the one and only, everyone knows and loves him, DW Lawhorne from, all kinds of things.
Everything.
Everything. Bedford Public Works.
All things life.
Boots the Cow.
Yes.
What do we got? That 80s show. We're gonna be talking about all kinds of things. So, DW's been on the show with me quite a few times before, and I'm really excited to have him back. And then I'm also here with Lee Sanderson. Is that correct?
Lee Sandstead.
Sandstead. Yes. All right. This is the second week in a row I've screwed up somebody's name. So this is probably, I need to just be kicked off.
It's a hard word to say, Sandstead. A lot of Southerners have
Sandstead.
problems with it. It's actually a Swedish word, and it means extra special.
I love it.
So you can just call me extra special.
Okay, well, I'm here with Lee Extra Special over here, and probably what it is I think Sanderson, because I'm not even gonna lie, I'm really excited because Hocus Pocus 2 is coming back soon, and like the Sanderson sisters, and so that's what's on my head, like in my mind right there. I see what he knows what I'm talking about.
Yeah, because we got the D23 magazine yesterday that had a whole article in it with behind the scenes pictures,
right?
And it looks so fun. I can't wait. We're huge Hocus Pocus fans.
And it's so funny to hear you say that. So, and we are going to be talking about an event that's coming up with you. And tell us the name of that event.
The Great Bedford Valley Road Ride. It's a cycling event, and it's actually the same day as Centerfest, for you guys who are familiar with that, on September 24th. We'll be leaving the very morning out of Fallen Creek Park, and then hopefully when everybody finishes the road ride, we have routes that are 30 miles, 50 miles, 70 miles, 80 miles, 100 miles, and then 128-mile rides all around the Great Bedford Valley. And hopefully when everybody finishes, they're just going to run right over to Centerfest.
I'm tired even thinking about all those, but we're gonna talk more about that in just a minute. So for those of you who are interested, maybe you are a bike enthusiast and you haven't heard about the event, we want to get you signed up. We want to get you registered, and even I'm sure there's probably ways you can support the racers coming through the area too, potentially. Like
absolutely, if you see a cyclist out there, just give them some hoots and hollers, and absolutely,
awesome. So we're gonna be talking about that. I do want to very quickly just mention a big thank you to the Bedford community that came out this past weekend for our 4th annual Bedford Battle of the Bands. It was a huge success in my book. DW, I think your crew was out there as well.
It was great. It was all great weather. Great turnout.
Yep.
All the cars for the cruise in was great. Great seeing everybody. So
the weather really did.
It turned
showed up good.
Excellent evening. The food was great. All the food stuff you had out there.
I had people telling me, everyone loves Ferguson Family Provisions. They were packed all night. But the hot dog vendor we had, Dirty Water Dogs, I had people messaging me afterwards wanting to get their information because they were like, those are the best hot dogs we've had in a really long time. And I don't know if they have the one where they put the pork barbecue on top of the hot dog.
Yes.
Oh man, that's delicious.
All that was fat free, sugar free too, wasn't it?
Yes, everything was fat free. Everyone should be happy. They were healthy, low carb
and fat free.
Low carb. No, but and the Holy Heaven cookies, no sugar. Those were all they were all healthy chocolate chip cookies that were stuffed with other delicious goodness.
Chocolate cookies named Holy Heaven.
Yes, so it's Holy Heaven, Holy Heaven Cookie Company. She's based out of Lynchburg, but oh my goodness, she makes stuffed cookies and they are delicious. And then we also had Wicked Lemon, the Wicked Lemonade. That was the first time I'd ever had them, and that's like they fresh press the lemons right there and make the lemonade on site with the different flavors, and that was extremely good too. And then of course, huge shout out to Beals. Chris and Mike Oakley and Natalie and the rest of their crew, they did a phenomenal job, with the beer garden and Fables and Feathers Winery and owner Jenny. They did fabulous as well. So, I mean, all around thank you so much for coming out. Next year will be our 5th year, and we are already planning bigger and better. And big congratulations to our winners of Battle of the Bands. And you guys heard them here on the show a few weeks ago. And that was the Blue Roots Grass and Country Band. They were the winners of Battle of the Bands. However, I say winners, but there were no losers. All of the 4 bands that played were phenomenal. And I'm just going to give a special shout out to Blueprint, because not that all the other bands weren't fabulous, but I will say when you're 13 to 16 years old and you are rocking out like they did, man, I was super impressed. So I can't wait to see more from them as they continue to grow together. That was awesome. So, and a big shout out to DWU, your crew, Town of Bedford. Yeah. Y'all always are on top of things. And can I also just say another big shout out to the community. Thank you for picking up your trash.
Yep.
I have never had an event. I'm just going to say this. In the last 4 years of running these events, I have never had an event where I absolutely did not have to pick up, I don't even think, one piece of trash at the end of an event. Everyone did their job, and thank you.
Yes.
Makes life easy.
It's good when a plan comes together.
It is. It is. So, Lee, let's chat. I'm gonna chat with you first about the road race.
Yeah.
First of all, how did this all come together? Where did this kind of come from, the idea to start this?
Yeah, so I moved to Bedford in 2018, but I've been coming to these roads as cyclists do. So I'm a cyclist, right? I'm a guy out there that's riding around on a bicycle. I did 60 miles this morning, went out, did great ride around Chambersburg or Mill Mountain Road, did all these great roads. And so I've been coming here since 2013, and I've been going up in the mountains, right? You ride up to the peak. So many people do this, right? They come here from all over Virginia. They park in Bedford and they ride, and it's, Bedford's just not really on their radar. They just go up, do the mountains, and then come back, go home. And then when I moved here in 2018, I started doing that, but then I started riding these valley roads, right? And every single road in Bedford, I've been on, I've ridden on it. The gravel roads, all public roads I've ridden my bike on. And I just fell in love with this valley. Beautiful ridge roads, beautiful farms, beautiful views of the peaks. And so, Falling Creek Farm Road, it's a beautiful road that Falling Creek Park is on, where we're starting this thing in. And there's just so many amazing things to see. And so I was just, there are so many of these rides. They're, often called Grand Fondos, Century Rides. They're all over Virginia. They're basically every weekend in the fall. And there was a slot open for the September 24th in the Virginia calendar. So I said, let's do this. I really am so passionate about these valley roads that I want people to come here. Right. And so that's where we came up with the idea, the Great Bedford Valley Road Ride, with all these different routes that take us basically all over Bedford, right? All from Falling Creek Park all the way up to Sedalia via Charlemont, all the way down to Chambersburg, all over the place. It's really amazing what we can do. And then as I started to talk to people in the community, people got really excited about this. The Destination Bedford is presenting this. And so they're the presenting sponsor. So Nicole Johnson and Michelle Krompacker, they got excited about the idea. A lot of communities use these Grand Fondos and bike races as a way to bring people to the region. Roanoke and the Virginia Blue Ridge and that 4 or 5 county conglomeration of counties that represent the Virginia Blue Ridge. They are bringing a lot of roads, a lot of cyclists to those roads over there in Roanoke, which are beautiful as well, beautiful valley roads. But what we have is what they don't have is that we have very less traffic. Right. We have the riders, the drivers, I should say, I have to say a profound thank you. So I've been coming here since 2013. I've been riding 10,000 miles a year since 2018 on these roads. And the drivers in Bedford are amazing. And the county, everywhere that you go. If I'm way out in the corner in the middle of nowhere, drivers are amazing. And so these roads, like I've just really become passionately attached to these roads. And so I spent a long time to put together the best routes absolutely possible that represent the best of Bedford, the best ridges, the best farms, the quietest roads, the best ponds, like everything. When you do like, especially the 100-mile route, which is what most people signed up are going to be doing, that you're just winding through the county. Like Charlemont Road is such a beautiful road. And then it opens up and you see these beautiful mountains at the end. And so it's just a beautiful county. And so the time was coming. So this is the first annual road ride. And this is something that I want to do every September. As long as we can, you know, make it a really community event. It's great that we can have Centerfest at the end. You know, I'm telling riders that are going to come here, hey, we got Centerfest. Let's make sure that you jump on in and get down there. And so it really pairs well.
Oh, I was just going to say, I love one of the things that you first said is that a lot of people kind of ride around Bedford, but they don't really ride in Bedford. Yeah. And I think that's one of the things in the past couple of years that I've had people ask me, like, why are you doing they look at like our event schedule. We have some in Lynchburg, but they're like, wow, you have so many right here in Bedford. Cause we have, 3 right here in a row. We did Battle of the Bands, we've got Centerfest. And then the very next weekend, we're doing a disc golf tournament and a health fair at Falling Creek Park. And they're like, why so much in Bedford? And I'm, I live here. I live in Bedford. So the other big piece to it, though, is, a lot of people spend their time driving so quickly between Roanoke and Lynchburg. They don't take the time to stop and really see all that Bedford County has to offer. And it has a lot, the town in, outside in the county. And so being able to host events like ours and like yours and things that bring people here to see. And you're right, Nicole, with Destination Bedford, her and Michelle do a wonderful job promoting our area and our town. And, being able to continue to bring things here and bring that tourism here is fabulous.
I love your passion for Bedford, and that means that you're an ideal candidate to be a volunteer for my organization. But one of the things that I want to do is like what you're saying is like I'm putting together like a book, like a tiny book that every rider that comes, and that book will be like awesome things from Bedford. Like, so we have poets in Bedford that write about the peaks and things like that, like a poem, archaeology, like a little book. And then there's a great old map from the 1700s. It was created like in 1970, but it's like from the 1800s of Bedford, like this old map. I want to give those to everybody that comes here. That's like, cyclists love looking at maps. We spend hours every week at work looking at maps. And so I want everybody to get one of those maps of Bedford. But like, as you're saying, like make it more than just people even coming riding here and seeing the farms, but learning about Bedford. Right. And so not only do they get the book, I want them to subscribe to the newsletter, and like every 2 weeks, they get like information about what's going on in Bedford. We had the Battle of the Bands, right? Come on back, right? And all those things that you're doing and all the excitement that you're generating, and so that's part of the big plan,
So tell me, with the bike race, how early are cyclists going to be getting up? Like, how early is this kickoff? Because I know you said there's a bunch of different routes, and I'm assuming they sign up for whichever one they want to do. Are there different like time slots, or how does that work?
So the 128-mile route, that will leave sun up.
Okay.
Right. So as soon as that sunrise hits, then that's when they'll leave. But then we have one that's 30 miles, and that will probably leave about 10 o'clock. Yeah, so they'll definitely staggered start times.
How long? So you said you rode 60 miles this morning. How long does that normally take, depending on the route? I guess
3 hours and 15 minutes.
I was probably still asleep.
So I got up. The sun wasn't even up yet, and you could barely see the road. And what I love Bedford, because like all the people are already on the loop, going around, and I'm waving to people saying good morning as I'm headed out of town, But so that was a big ride this morning. I don't usually do that big of a ride on a weekday, but that's just, I'm following a plan. And that's what the plan says.
You were just so excited you were going to be on the show today. You had to get all that nervous energy out.
Yeah.
So now, How many riders do you currently have registered, or are there slots still open?
Yeah, so we're about 50 right now. And so, but by the day that, this happens, it'll probably be about 100. There'll be a lot of late registrations. But the goal, the first initial goal would be to have like 500 riders. All right. And then we decide, we come together with community sponsors and things of that nature and say, where do we want to take this? Do we want to take this to a 3,000 person ride? And those exist, right? And those are basically town takeovers, right? So it would pair well with the Centerfest, right? We have Bon Jovi playing at one end of town. We have Bruce Springsteen at the other end of town. We have 3,000 cyclists in Bedford. That would be a great day. And that actually happens in tiny, small towns all across America. About 3,000, that's kind of the biggest number that I'm seeing that's out there. And then they shut it down. Like there's no more than 3,000. But that would be several years down the road. And that would be quite a bit of, community sport and making sure that the community would want that, things like that. But I think 500 is a very logistically sound goal. For the next couple of years, we get up to about 500 and see what the community wants to do from there.
I think it's great having an event like yours that's happening at the same time that an event like mine is going on. I know last year we had the Battle for Bedford, which was a disc golf tournament happening the same weekend. And that brought people out to Centerfest where they were able to see the crafters. They were able to get some, you've been on the long bike ride, stop by Centerfest, sit down, get you something to eat, listen to some music, relax. And walk around. But it's nice to have different people, different types of people coming to enjoy these events. And it's not, I had somebody call me and go, oh my gosh, this is happening the same day. Great. It was kind of the only thing was I was like, as long as they're not like riding through the center of town, because that's not going to work. But it ended up working out great because you guys are kind of going around and then, back to Fallen Creek and able to come out and hang out with us. And I think that's wonderful.
And so that's, the idea of the race is, or the ride, it's not a race, but, Fallen Creek Park is an amazing place and destination for cyclists, for mountain bikers, for all kinds of types of things. And so eventually, like this is a 1-day event now, but the goal is to make it a 3-day event, 3 days of riding. So people are just not coming in and leaving the same day. Like we have them for 3 days. Fallen Creek Park is an amazing venue because they have all those great trails out there. You could have a big mountain bike ride one day and then a road ride one day. And then they make special bikes called gravel bikes and we ride all the gravel roads that we have. We have amazing gravel roads in this county. So like, it's an amazing county and I've kind of lived all over. But when I moved here in 2018, I really fell in love with Bedford, like the town of Bedford, the county of Bedford. And we have that huge lake down there. Then you got these unlimited mountains where the trails are not packed. I mean, there's some times of year, some times of day that Sharp Top will be pretty packed. But, I have a beautiful chocolate lab and I don't like putting her on the leash. She doesn't need to be on a leash. I can just do all these trails like Harkening and like amazing trails that we have here. And she's just having the time of her life and you won't see anybody. And it's just a great time that, and there's like, we have Beals and then we have like all these amazing events, being put on by, you and your coalition. And Bedford has just been a really amazing place. I lived in South Boston for 7 years. Now, South Boston is only an hour and a half away.
Right.
Never even thought about coming here. But this is amazing. Like you would think that once you got here and you saw these mountains and like how easy it is to hike and everything, that people from South Boston would be like, at least once a year, like, hey, we're going to Bedford for the day, and that it doesn't enter, never entered our mind down there. And I got here and I started living here. I'm like, oh my God, I've been missing out. I moved to Virginia in 2007. Like, I've really missed out.
In retrospect, I've never said I'm just going to go to South Boston, but that's the thing though. I think I would love to encourage people to visit towns around you. Like, you never know what you're missing until you just go and just visit somewhere else and find like one of the things my husband and I love to do when we go places, like my daughter does gymnastics. So we travel around, different things for that, is find just off the wall. Like when we're going for a restaurant, we're not going to Red Lobster. We're not going to, your large. We always search for somewhere local. You'll hit the downtown area. We went to the North Carolina Zoo about 2 or 3 weekends ago. And we went to Asheboro, and they're well known for their buy local campaign and everything that they do in downtown. And so we decided to go, and we found this little hole in the wall. I mean, it may not have been a hole in the wall to people there, but to us it was. It was called I think it was the Flying Pig. I'm probably going to say this right because it was the Flying Pig because the Fishing Pig is in Farmville, and so the Flying Pig was in Asheboro. Oh my gosh, it was phenomenal. The food was so good. And speaking of, there was a train track that went right through it to be able to get to it. That's ironic. The train's going through. But it was such a quaint little town. You sat there and you ate. It reminded me of Bedford. There's a little antique store across the street that we were looking at while we were eating and pointing out all the cute things that were in the windows. Yep. And, I encourage people to go out and do that. Like if you go to a yes, I'm sure you love your Cheddars and your, Olive Gardens and all of that. But you'd be surprised that if you go somewhere locally, how good it is. And just, again, I always talk about supporting local. So there's my plug for the day.
This part of Virginia is quite amazing. Like Appalachia, Virginia, there's amazing little towns all over the place. And as a cyclist, this is what we do, right? We go to these little towns and then we ride out of these little towns and through the little towns. Like Buchanan's awesome, an incredible little town. So like there's just to answer your question, there's a lot of interest in these big events. There's the Virginia Blue Ridge Ironman. We have an Ironman in Roanoke now, which is an amazing event. There's 3,500 people that came here this last what was it? I was in it like a few months ago. And so they had 3,500 people blocked off Parkway, for cyclists, to do this triathlon. So had to swim in Carvin's Cove, right? And so like there's so many amazing things that are happening. And so this is just my little attempt to try to form relationships, build with the community, and to develop a ride that, makes us healthier, wealthier, and wiser, I guess.
Now, is there a website? Where can somebody who is interested in registering, where can they go?
The Great Bedford Valley Roadride.com.
I love your enthusiasm.
There's only one website, so you're not going to get that mixed up with anybody else. So you just Google, just put it in there, the Great Bedford Valley Roadride.com. And so the trend in these rides is to make it shorter and shorter and shorter, and like to even get rid of the vowels, And so I was like, I'm bucking the trend, man. I'm just making this big pretentious ride name, the Great Bedford Valley Roadride.com.
Awesome.
And I don't even know if this is called the Great Bedford Valley.
First time I've heard of it.
Exactly. So there's a lot of little valleys, right? We have all these little valleys, but like when you're standing up there at Thunder Ridge or something like that, like it talks about, apple orchard and stuff like that. There's no big sign that says the Great Bedford Valley, right? There's one that says Roanoke Valley.
It's got to start somewhere.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So I was like, we need one, the Great Bedford Valley Road Ride.
So day of, let's talk about another thing. I know for me, particularly for Centerfest, we are always hurting for volunteers. So if you're out there listening, we need you. And what about you? Is there a way that the community can help out? Are there volunteer opportunities? Are there,
Yeah.
how can we get involved?
Thanks. So that is a big part of this. And so these things typically, say if I was at the 500 riders, I would need about 100 volunteers for that day. We would have about 6 stations around the county, and we'd have, maybe like 10 people at those stations to give riders water, to give them food and stuff like this. And so we're going to have several stations. And so I would love volunteers. You can reach me through our Facebook page. You can reach me through the Great Bedford Valley Roadride.com website. You can email me, lee@bikeleebike.com. So there's many ways to get involved. Gross Orchards is actually going to have a great stop So, that's going to be amazing because like they jumped in, they want people to come there. They want, they have a 5K running race out there.
They do.
And they want, so they want people out there and they want something like this. And so it's great that they're part of this. I mean, I'm that guy that I go to Gross Orchard, right?
Yeah.
Get apples and peaches and stuff like that. I think I spent $60 this year on peaches. Most amazing peaches ever, right? It was amazing. I don't think I've ever in my entire life spent $60 on peaches, right? But I was there and they were just all amazing. And so they're a great, fantastic part of this community. I ride my bike by there all the time. There's this great road back behind them that takes to the Sedalia called Wheats Valley Road. Yep. It's actually a gravel road. It's about 2 miles long. I ride that on my road bike, all the time.
That's where the reservoir is at too.
Exactly. We go by the reservoir. So that's part of our ride as well. It's going to go from Sedalia, Wheats Valley Road to Gross Orchard.
You might see a couple bears up there.
Bears?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I've not seen any bears. I see a lot of bears. I've never seen them there.
This is completely off topic, but you mentioned bears, so I got to do it to her. So my event director, Autumn Myers, she lives out in Manita, and the other day she went to take her dog outside before bed and opened up her door. Dog was on the leash, took her out. She heard like this noise in her truck. In their truck, sure enough, bear jumped off the back of their truck.
Wow.
Had been up there.
Oh, wow.
And she said, "Oh, my life flashed before my eyes. The dog didn't want to come inside. Dog's barking. The bear's just sitting there, kind of doing that growl, like she could hear the rumble in it." And she said she yanked on the dog's leash because she was like, "You better come in." She's like, "Because I'm not going down with you if you don't hurry up." But I that's the first time I had really heard of a encounter that close. I've heard of them being up at the peaks and everything.
Yeah. I see them. What fascinates me about the bears, if you watch them, is that they're huge, but they act like little puppies, like cute little puppies, but they're 800 pounds, and so you really do have to stay away from them. But you see, you want to just go up and pet them, but. Yeah.
So I want to talk about something that, I think something that's important when you're talking about road races and things like that. And that is bike safety, like safety of the riders, because I know that there have been quite a few times in the past where people have been out riding their bikes and people driving in their cars pay no attention, and there's been tragedy that is involved with that. So with that many bikers out on the road during the 24th, and with us having people coming in for Centerfest, I really want to stress to those listening, and we, I think, will even put something out in our packets we send to vendors and stuff, letting them know to be wary, like checking the roads as they're coming in to make sure that they're looking out for bike riders, because I think there are people that just feel like, oh, I don't want to have to share the road, and they just get that kind of they do what they want to do. So
one of the things that I love about this ride is that, there are roads with no lines on them whatsoever. Those are the least traveled roads in the county. I bet I rode 15,000 miles to piece together the routes where we're going from one road that has no lines to another road that has no lines. And so most people that will be coming to Centerfest, driving to Centerfest, now the townies and the county people, you'll see that.
Right.
That's who we'll have to watch out for.
Gotcha.
But most people coming to Bedford for the first time, we won't see, because we are really just, on the outskirts of town. And as a cyclist, like that's, when we see the lines, that usually means traffic, but the roads without the lines, very little traffic. And so I really took great care to piece this thing together, because that's on my mind. We just had last weekend, tragically, we had, and I know her, I was friends with her. We had two women were riding at 7:30 in the morning in Richmond, and a guy plowed them over, killed one. The other one is still in the hospital.
Yeah.
Last year, on Route 11, a woman was training for that triathlon, the Virginia Blue Ridge Ironman triathlon, and that's the route. She was training on the actual route of the actual race, and tragically, she was killed. And that's part of our ride. We have as part of the Great Bedford Valley, you can go. We have advocacy sponsors. And so Tabitha Thompson, the woman who passed due to this tragic accident, you can give money towards her and her foundation as part of the ride if you wish.
I believe the Bedford Y has they used to have a memorial or a foundation, because there was a rider here in Bedford that I think was a big part of the Bedford Y that was a bike rider that was killed and many years ago. And I don't know all the specifics of it, but I do know that has happened locally too. And
so what I do is, like, I am uber safe. Like in the daytime, I have like the strongest light that you can put on the back of your bike that blinks. And it's actually illegal in some states because it blinks so fast. And then I actually have a radar, and the radar is as big as my thumb. It's not a camera, it's actual radar. And so when a car is behind me, like if there's 1 or 2 cars, I'll see on my screen up in front of me, I'll see dots, and it'll ping. It'll make a loud beep noise every time there's a car back there, like, 600 yards, 500 yards, and you'll see it come up. And so, I take absolutely every precaution that I can.
Speaking of bike lanes, DW, y'all been working hard on putting those in up at on Burks Hill,
on
right?
Burks Hill, we did put some with that reconfiguration up there going towards Liberty Lake Park. There was a bike lane that was added there.
Are they still working on that, or kind of
finished up the sidewalks this past week? We have 2 driveway entrances we got to pour, and then the last step will be putting in the flashing lights at the crosswalk.
It looks good though.
Yeah.
I mean, I drive past it every day because that's on the way to and from my house. So it's been neat kind of watching it.
It was, a lot of people
from.
were skeptical when we first started. They was like, "There's no way that's going to work," but it's worked out great.
Yeah. Looks good.
And the thing with the lights, we could have had the lights up here a while back, waiting on one part.
Okay.
Got the poles, the lights, but the electronic part hadn't got here yet to make it all work. So that should be here next week, and then we can install that. So.
For a cyclist, that's a great route, because Dickerson Mill is such an amazing ride on a bike, on a cyclist.
I've probably seen you cycling. I live right off Dickerson Mill.
So I did that this morning. I went out Dickerson Hill, and like that's just an amazing, beautiful road to ride.
I live on 43. Bridges. I see you quite often heading up to the peaks when you're riding. So.
Exactly. Yeah. I like to do intervals. So what I'll do is I'll ride up to the base of peaks as a warm up. And then I'll go as hard as I can for 20 minutes and then just coast back down. And then go 20 minutes, coast back down, stuff like that. Yeah. So I don't even go all the way to the top. I just do workouts on the peaks. Yeah. Thanks for not hitting me.
Yep, you got it.
I feel like I do that in my car. I just drive. I drove 10,000 miles in my car this year. I'm not as good.
Maybe you can tell people if somebody approaches you or any bicyclist, that you're on 43 and you come up on a person that's riding a bike. A lot of times, there's not traffic coming the other way. Should safely go around you or wait till you get to a better spot? How do y'all prefer?
That's a great question.
There's actual laws about that. Yeah. I don't know what the laws are. Yeah. Because you can debate laws in court, after the accident or whatever, all you want, but I always just be as safe as I can.
Yep.
And as soon as I see that a car is behind me, you can hear the car, stuff like that. A lot of cars are really good about this in Bedford, right? They know, if there's a double line, they're going to need to be able to see for a little bit. And what I try to do is I always I put my thumb up, hey, come on, you got it, man. I know you're back there. Go on. I did that this morning. There's people trying to get to work.
Right.
I'm not there to hold them up, right? On Dickerson Mill. And I was like, hey, come on, go on. You got it. Right. And so I just try to really communicate with the drivers as much as I can. And so that's the best answer. I mean, there are, I would say a 99 out of 100 times, there is no issue whatsoever. I mean, it's that dramatic. It's a great place to ride. People know that there's cyclists out there. There's a lot of people that work to peaks. They got to get to work, right? And so I'm usually on the road the first thing in the morning. So I do everything I can. Right now, someone's pouring the longest driveway in history up there. I don't know where they're at. So there's just cement trucks going up there all the time. And I try to get off and, just let everybody go by.
Heather also organizes the Christmas parade in Bedford every year. And the morning of the parade, because the parade's always 11 o'clock, but the morning of, they have the 5K
Right.
foot race.
Right.
You ought to have a bike race coordinated with that, and then y'all, as a group, come be participants in the parade too.
That's fun. And one thing that people do is that they use the cyclists to kind of lead out the 5K.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so that's a popular thing to do.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's a beautiful, to me, I had a huge tragic accident. What was that called? What was the virus called back in 2010? It was before coronavirus.
SARS.
No, before that. It's on the tip of my tongue. This was President Obama. Everybody was talking about this
Ebola?
virus. Not Ebola. Is around the same time. I can't believe I don't remember this. But if you broke your leg or whatever, people, it didn't matter. Like they said you had this virus. And so
like MRSA?
What's that?
Like the MRSA? Like when
No, it wasn't MRSA.
I know that was really going around at one point.
Oh, as soon as I say it, you guys would know it. And there's somebody out.
H1N1. Is that
H1N1.
swine flu?
Swine flu. That's
Yes.
right. Remember the swine flu?
Yep.
Right. I didn't have the swine flu. Okay. But every doctor said I had the swine flu. I had a staph infection.
Yeah.
They now know by a broken tooth. Right.
Yeah.
And so I got so sick that I was in the hospital, Duke University emergency room for 30 days. I coughed so hard with this infection. They kept treating me for a virus. If they just give me a shot in the butt with some penicillin, I've been fine. But they didn't. They kept treating me for a virus. Give me virals. So I just kept getting worse and worse. I coughed so hard. I coughed 3 holes in my esophagus and 1 in my windpipe.
Oh, wow.
Now, this is actually, it only happens twice a year in America. And if it happens, you have 24 hours to live because all the germs in your mouth go to your heart. So I was coughing so hard. I was starting to black out. I called a friend. I said, hey, you got to get me to the hospital, man. I walked in the hospital and I said, guys, I don't know what's wrong with me, but you need to take care of me. And I collapsed right there. I wake up and everybody's crazy. And there's a doctor sticking a needle in my heart to drain all the fluid off my heart. And so they have no idea why my heart has fluid. They just know that my heart can't pump anymore. So they flipped this switch, and this was in South Boston. So they emergency transported me to Duke University, and I was there for 30 days. And in that 30 days, I went from 215 pounds to 160 pounds. I woke up from 8 hours of surgery. I had feeding tubes. I didn't even know such a thing of feeding tubes existed. You know what I mean? Where they put a tube in your gut, and then you hang it on the wall, your food supply or whatever, like in an IV bag.
Right.
I didn't even know that existed. So I got out. And so basically in 2010, I'd always been really healthy. I swam for my university. I just said, I'm really going to be healthy.
Yeah.
And so cycling is such a beautiful sport, right? To go back to my original thought, is that cycling is such a beautiful sport and it's low impact and it's something that you can do for the rest of your life.
Mm-hmm.
And we need to be healthy. It's something that I think about a lot, and so I just turned 50 years old, couple weeks ago. And, I'm the healthiest I've ever been in my entire life. I'm healthier than I was in high school, playing sports. And so I think it's just a great sport. And I think a lot of people, should get on a bike and I like the adventure, man. There's nothing like, I went down Joppa Mill and we call that the 55-mile-an-hour hill because for 3 seconds, you get up to like 55, 56, 57 miles an hour.
That's when I'm coming from there, because I live right off Dickerson Mill or Shepherd Store, whichever way you go. But yeah, if I'm coming from that side of Bedford, you hit that going down that one hill, you can kind of, it's almost like going on a roller coaster.
Yeah, it's intense.
I mean, not me, because I'm going the speed limit. Always the speed limit. But I'm just saying.
Law-abiding Heather. That's what your nickname is, right? So
I am a law-abiding citizen of Bedford. So, well, Lee, thank you for coming on with me. And I am really excited to hear how this all turns out. And again, give us the website or where they can go to register.
Yeah. So, and first, we just have to say thank you so much to Destination Destination Bedford with Nicole Johnson and Michelle. I mean, they've been a fantastic community partner for this event. But yeah, the Great Bedford Valley Road Ride.com.
Awesome. Thank you so much. DW.
Hey.
So I'm going to swing into a little bit, just real quick. We're going to talk about Centerfest, then we're going to get into everything you got going on because you're a busy man.
Yeah.
We are really looking forward to Centerfest. You know, we talked a little bit about it while we were talking about the road race, but September 24th. So for everyone, it is a little different this year. We normally have held it the third Saturday. We moved it this year because it just got to where there were so many other festivals surrounding it. There was the Lynchburg Beer and Wine Festival. Then the Smith Mountain Lake Wine Festival decided to have it, the same weekend. And then there's the Sunflower Festival in Buchanan. So I said, you know what? We're gonna switch to where there are no other real big festivals going on, which I'm glad we did because I keep looking and I don't see too much popping up on that date. So we're hoping for a big turnout. Lots of vendors, food trucks. We're gonna have the farmers market will be happening this year. So the band stage will be in a little bit of a different place for people that have been there before. We're actually gonna have the stage back behind Union Bank. So there'll be a different layout for that section of Centerfest, but we're looking for a big crowd.
We had it there years ago. We did it right there one time.
Okay, so that was prior to me. But we're, one of the things I think we're going to do, we always have people that complain that, Southbridge is so kind of steep. And so we're going to move now that we have the free clinic and noteworthy music and stuff over there on Center. We're going to actually have a few more booths set up there to kind of keep people kind of walking over there into the bands and alleviate some of that Southbridge vendor traffic down there and the opportunity for people to keep breaking through the barrier to try and drive through. So less opportunity there. But we're looking forward to it. We have registration, I believe, for Centerfest closes on the 29th. And I've been a sucker in the past for letting people in after, but my new event person, Autumn, she's right on it.
Cut it off, right?
She's not going to allow me to do any additions after that. So if you've been putting it off and you just haven't, you're not sure if you want a booth, you better get it in by the 29th because that's the best I can do for you guys. Don't call me with the sad stories because I'm going to send you to Autumn and she's going to say, nope, and cut you off. So
how many vendors do you guys have this year?
Oh, wow. I don't know exactly how many. I think we were either at what we had last year, or right around. We normally have a good 80, 90 some artisan crafters, commercial vendors. Then we have, the food trucks. I know we have quite a few this year that are new. We have salty lobsters coming out this year. We haven't had them before.
I've had them before.
I've heard they're good. Blended Soul, I think maybe another one that's coming out. They have great garlic Parmesan fries. If you get, I went and bought like 2 of them the last time I was at an event they were delicious. But we've got the Wicked Lemonade. She's coming out again this year. That's new. So, we've got some.
And this is year 40 something?
41. 41st. Yeah. It's our 41st annual. We have 7 bands. I'm not sure how we're going to pull that one off. But we do. Ted and them will have to work quick to interchange them. But, the good thing is some of them are just kind of solo singers that won't take a lot of time. I will say our final band of the night is Tony Cam and the Funk All-Stars.
Yeah.
They are a phenomenal band. I am super excited to have Tony out. I reached out to him and I was like, hey, they did us a favor back during COVID when we did that event where we raised money for the community. We had a community festival where all the proceeds were free and they donated their time for that. And so I reached back out to him and I was like, we'd love to have you come back and do this. And they've been really excited. So we'll have them. And then the winners of Battle of the Bands will be there. And then we have the Flat 5 Jazz Band. I mean, we've got a little bit of everything coming out that you can hear at Centerfest. So I appreciate the town. I was trying to get Boots, but Boots is going to be out of town that weekend. Yeah, that's right. Apparently.
Yeah.
So let's what should we chat about first? Boots or
either way.
Or podcast. We brought up Boots. Let's talk about it. So Boots the cow, how is he doing?
Boots is doing great. As you know, Boots is a real cow. Mm-hmm. Saw him this morning when I was pulling out of the driveway, waved at him. He looked at me, but doing great. We have 4 books out in the series of Boots the Cow. The most recent one is Boots Meets a Bee. Doing real well with that. We were just recently at Lottie J Farms at their event and did great. Sold out of most everything. We will have the Christmas book coming back out in November, Christmas with Boots. and you can.
See, this needs to go in my cycling packet. Like every cyclist who comes to my event gets a packet.
Yeah.
We need Boots gets a bike.
Yeah.
Boots gets a bike.
Yeah. And of course, you can, we are in the visitor center. You can find all of our merchandise with Boots the Cow, all the books and the little stuff, cows, pins, key rings, all that good stuff. Also on Amazon, you can put in Boots the Cow or put in my name, Walmart.com, BarnesandNoble.com, and hopefully a few other places here coming up that will have it available. Woody and I just met yesterday. We got 2 more books that'll be coming out first of the year.
Very
Well,
cool.
one will be coming out first of the year probably, and then the other one will be coming out midsummer. We
So-
had a meeting about that.
When y'all donated, you donated that Boots basket to
Yes.
us for our auction that we did back
Yes.
in January. Let me just say, we had people bid warring over
Yes.
Boots, and
Yeah.
my daughter was extremely upset with me because I did not win.
Yeah.
The Boots the cow back. She wanted the cow.
Yeah.
She wanted the books.
Yeah.
But she likes to also get autographs. So she was like, I know I get DW to
That's
autograph
right.
my book.
That's right.
I was like, okay. But I
Yeah.
didn't win it. She was
Yeah.
really sad.
Yeah, we do that. We gave one of those away at Christmas time on our Facebook page for Boots the Cow. We
Mhm.
gave away one of those baskets, but we donate several of those baskets a year to different functions and charities going on. We got one coming up for the Carter Craft Foundation, which I support and on the board for. We got a golf tournament coming up, so we'll be having some Boots items in the silent auction that always does real well. And then here recently, we have a new Boots the Cow mascot that comes out with us to take pictures
Yes.
that you can have your picture taken with the Boots the Cow mascot.
We'll have to
Really
make
big
sure
deal.
we can have them come out
Yeah,
next
we got
year.
yeah, we got to do
What
something.
road is Boots on? I'm gonna.
Yeah.
Can I see him from the road?
And no,
Okay.
probably not. But you can come out and see him anytime you want to out on 43. I'll give you my address when we get off of here.
Okay,
Yeah,
yeah.
Let's not give everybody
yeah.
DW's address.
I'm interested if
Yeah.
I've seen Boots before. Yeah.
So how has Boots taken to the spotlight? I mean, has it gotten to their head yet? Or
Well,
I mean, is she?
I don't know if he I don't
Maybe-
know if he's figured it out, but he hadn't went to the market, so that's a good thing. he gets to stay.
I didn't know
so.
if he saunters past the other cows like, hey,
Yeah.
I'm
He
a
seems to
important
know
celebrity.
something's going on. I don't know if he knows what it is, but he gets all the extra little special food and stuff, and wonders why we take a lot of pictures of him. I'm sure,
Mhm.
but he's a big spoiled baby. What he
Yeah.
is, so.
And I know we've talked about this before, but for
Yeah.
those that are listening, how did it get started? How did you start with writing those?
So obviously we have beef cows that we raise, and Boots was a bottle fed baby. His mom rejected him, so we ended up having to bottle feed him. And he started off 40 pounds, and we kept him up at the house, and he quickly became spoiled. And we have a black lab, like you have a chocolate lab, so he quickly became the lab's best friend. And so it got to the point, just crazy, that he thought he was a dog.
Mm-hmm.
So we'd be outside throwing the Nerf stick with the dog, and the cow started chasing it. We playing the kickball. The cow started playing kickball, and then he just got where he stayed with the dog all the time. And then I told my wife, well, we got to get him in the field with the other cows before he gets too much older. Get him acclimated with the herd. We'd put him in the field, and the next morning he'd be back with the dog.
Mm-hmm.
Put him back out in the field, and you wake up, he's laying in the garage. He wouldn't run off. He wouldn't go anywhere. He'd always come back up to the house. He'd be in the garage laying with the dog, or just being in the yard. So finally, we got to the point we just said, we're just going to have to accept that he's just a spoiled pet. Okay, we did that. And, I'd come home from work. He's just in the yard laying there with the dog, or he'd walk up to me when I get out of the truck. All those normal things that you would have with a regular household dog. And then one day, my wife comes in the house and says, she's freaking out, Boots is not outside, and freaking out. So we're looking everywhere for him except the field. And then we look out there, and he's looking at us. He had got into the field and was with the cows and never came back. And she was like, well, I wonder what's up with that. And I said, well, I guess he decided to be a cow, which was the start of the first book. So then I ended up writing the story about how he was born, and we bottle fed him. And then the first book's called The Day Boots Became a Cow. And the story leads up to when he finally decided to be a cow, he went out into the field. And then the rest of them is just cute stuff that, goes along. Like we have one called Boots on the Loose, which if you see him up by the road, it's because he's gotten out for whatever reason. But, that happened too. And then Christmas with Boots, and Boots Meets a Bee we kind of intertwined it with some kids that come over to feed him bread because he loved bread, and there was a bee flying around. He kind of jumped back. So we had in the book, the kids tell the story to Boots, don't be scared because bees are good for the environment and how they pollinate, and all the flowers are here because of bees and all that stuff. So kind of turned it around to be a little educational thing too.
Right.
So, yeah.
So I feel like we should do like Boots is in the Christmas parade or Boots at Centerfest.
Yeah.
Boots around town. Can we just like bring Boots around? And,
it's endless of all the things we could do, you know. Me and Woody talked yesterday. I don't want to give too much away, but we talked about a thing where, and I don't know if Woody, did we ever come up with a title, but where Boots goes out trick or treating and he's wearing a mask and people don't realize he's a cow. But he's
that
something
is
else.
hilarious.
I love Halloween.
Yes.
I love it.
Boots and Bigfoot. Can we do the Boots and Bigfoot festival,
That's
Woody?
the epic crossover.
Yeah, that's
what
what it's going to have.
Woody,
I don't think people are ready for that yet.
Yeah.
We're going to have to warm them up to it.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I love it. I love that. You know, local Arthur.
Yeah.
You know, it's.
And then part of our proceeds also,
wonderful.
I want to make sure people know that it goes to the Carter Craft Foundation to support all the good things they do for the community. And I tell people all the time, hey, even if you don't have kids or you don't want the book or whatever, we always put a link in the book or on the website where you can just donate to the Carter Craft Foundation.
What was the website again, DW?
Bootsthecow.com.
Boots the Cow.
Yeah.
And I also have to say that I appreciate it because Boots the Cow is helping to donate some to Centerfest for our stage and stuff that we're doing this year. So thanks to Boots there for his contribution and you know what you do for the town in general, DW.
Yeah, we do a lot of good things. We recently just helped a couple other groups in town through the boot sales and stuff. We've helped at the farmers market. We donated some money to the fire department to buy some training gear. FFA, we gave to FFA for some of their stuff. So it's a whole lot of things we do. So.
Yeah, and then just a quick plug in here because I saw some stuff at one point when y'all were donating to FFA.
Yeah,
this comes from Boots the Cow. This is not the town.
Right.
It's not the town giving the money.
That's right.
It is DW and Boots the Cow.
Yeah.
I just want to make that known because I was actually a little irritated when I saw people.
You start an LLC or a nonprofit with Boots, or is that?
Well, I go through the Carter Craft Foundation because I'm on the board for the Carter Craft Foundation.
Okay.
So we take money from the sales of the books and go and donate to the foundation, and take the foundation gives that money to the things.
Gotcha.
And what she's talking about, and I don't mind saying it, Heather, I don't mind putting it out there with people. So we put it on the Facebook. We put it on the Carter Craft Foundation Facebook and the Boots the Cow, where I'm presenting a check to like the FFA, stuff like that. And it's from the sales of the book, help them out. And we did several of those last year, month to month, back to back, giving out checks. And, you know, somebody in the community, and because they also recognize my face through my job at the town, had to make a comment about, well, that's why our electric bills were so high because I was giving all this money away.
Right.
It has nothing to do
I'll tell you what, the fire went through me. Like when I saw that post, and I'm pretty sure I posted something on there because I was just like, first of all, if you don't know what you're talking about, please stop talking. Like just don't say anything at all.
That's right.
Anyway, so I just wanted to make that statement.
Yeah, if you see me doing something and it's tied to the foundation or the book, that's totally separate from the town, my job. It's just something else I do.
Yeah, this is amazing. Yeah. So, you know, I guess I've been here since 2018, and I've not, you know, I didn't know about this. But this is an amazing thing. This is really this is an amazing.
And we got a lot of good things coming.
A
lot of real good things coming that we're going to be doing.
So let's real quickly too talk about your podcast.
Yes, Lost in Time,
that you're doing because you are no longer, you know, you were doing the Life, Liberty, Happiness. I think a lot of people heard you there, and then due to some conflict with work stuff, you had to stop doing that for a little bit. Right. And now you're back with that 80s show.
Yeah. So what I did with that and how that come about is one of my dear friends in life that my wife and I have been friends with and helped take care of is a good friend of ours, Andy Ulch. And a lot of people in the community know Andy, and very fine fella. He just happens to be stricken with Down syndrome, which he doesn't look at it as being any kind of handicap anyway, but whatever. But loves 80s music, and I do too. You know, I love 80s stuff and everything. So quite often when we, you know, go see him and visit, you know, we over there all the time. We help take care of them, cut the grass, take to the store, doctor, whatever. But one of Andy's favorite things to do is listen to 80s music. So we do that. So kind of the thing was too, and Woody and I talked, we loved 80s stuff. we started doing the podcast called Lost in Time
Mhm.
about all the great things from the 80s. And a lot of it's music, but TV shows, commercials. We've got a future show coming up about 80s wrestlers,
Mhm,
the old
mhm.
80s wrestler stuff. And a lot of that we do. We've had Andy, he comes in and sits with us on a show, or he'll be at home listening on his iPad live and yelling at us through the screen, thinking he's talking to us, telling us how we got things wrong. But it's all fun. But that's kind of how all that come about and got started. And it's, taking its own life, and it's a lot of fun.
Mhm.
It's, and we give away, each show, we give away an 80s toys or
Mhm.
something like that. We recently went to see LA Guns and Cinderella and Faster Pussycat, which is some good 80s bands, and was able to get an autographed poster that we gave away on the show.
Have you been to the Press Start Tech and Games in
Yes.
Lynchburg? Okay, I was going to say,
Yes.
because that'd be really cool to give away like an NES system. I
Yes.
just bought one from there
Yes.
actually the other day. So
Yep.
that was super fun. But I remember, I love the episode when y'all were talking about the Floby
Yes.
because I will never, ever, ever forget my mom cutting my brother's hair
Yep.
with that. It was a horrible mess.
And people still use that. They
Well, I
I
still-
don't
remember.
know.
Oh yeah, I'm an '80s.
Yeah.
I'm Gen
Yeah.
Xer
Yeah.
here. Yeah, I
And
remember all this
another
stuff.
thing we do, and you can call in or write in on the show. We use the Magic 8-Ball. People can ask questions.
Yeah, I remember that.
and
yeah.
we'll answer it with the 8-Ball on the air. So if you have a
Oh,
question,
I'm going to have to send in some questions.
yeah, do that. We've had some fun questions, right, Woody?
Oh man,
Yeah.
the questions that have come in are pretty amazing.
Yeah, you have to go back and listen to some
We
of
have
the
some
episodes.
loyal listeners that consistently ask questions, and it's
Yes.
funny.
That's awesome. That's cool. And I know that DW, you and I are hoping
Yes.
to do something pretty cool here in Bedford with your show Lost
Yes.
in Time, and we're hoping to get the band That 80s Show
Yep.
coming out and playing.
and have an event.
Yep.
And what we want to do, and it's too late this year to probably get it done, but maybe spring of the year we'll try
Yep.
to have something. And what we want to do is having the band, doing the 80s show, playing 80s music, and encourage everybody to come dressed as 80s.
Yep.
Like you did in the 80s.
Bring your
Mhm.
Cabbage Patch Dolls,
Yeah, bring your Cabbage
hang
Patch
out.
Dolls. So
all those good things, G.I. Joes.
Everything that you guys are saying, like
Yeah.
this is what the Great Bedford Valley Road Ride. Like it's not just to come and ride here,
Right.
but I want to attach people to this community year
Right.
round.
Yeah.
So you come here for one day a year,
Yep.
but they're fascinated by boots. Like they
Right.
got to know what's going on
Right.
with boots. They got to
Right.
know these things,
Yeah.
And so this is exactly plays into kind of my vision
Yeah.
of wanting to
Yeah.
really introduce people to all the fascinating stuff.
Yeah. Bedford's a hidden gem.
It
Yeah.
100%
I agree.
is.
I mean,
Yeah.
it's and that frustrates me with sometimes because I'll through my work we organize community cleanups and stuff. And one of the things you always hear people say, and y'all probably heard this too, people will say in Bedford, there's just nothing to do.
Mhm.
But yet when you go to plan an event, you find out how much stuff's going on because you go to plan an event, you go, man, there's 3 other things that weekend.
Mm-hmm.
Well, let's pick that weekend. Well, there's 2 other things.
Mm-hmm.
There's always stuff going on.
Oh, yeah.
Always stuff. And a lot of fun stuff too
Mm-hmm.
going on. So
So Lost in Time, how many do y'all, are you weekly?
no, we
Okay.
just do monthly.
Okay.
Yeah, we do monthly. We felt like weekly would be oversaturating the market and stuff. And, so we just do
too much Heather.
Yeah.
Too much talk local to me.
Yeah, we
every
do
week.
we do monthly. Now we just did a show a couple weeks ago. We are doing we're gonna break that once a month mold just because we have a special guest coming on in 2 weeks that we had to work out to get into their schedule. It's a country music artist. And he's going to come in and talk to us about his influences of 80s music and
Mhm.
stuff like that. But we had to work that in with his touring schedule. So that's going to happen hopefully on the 6th.
Ooh, awesome. Well,
Yeah.
hey, that's cool because on
Yeah.
the 7th,
Yeah.
I have a special guest joining me
Yeah.
on the show. So for those of you, make sure to listen in. If you're familiar with Charles Easton, either way, you know who I'm talking about.
Yep.
He played Deacon Claiborne on the show Nashville,
Yep.
and he currently is he plays Ward on the Outer Banks show on Netflix. He's going to be playing a concert at the Coves at Smith Mountain Lake on September 10th for the Smith Mountain Lake Good Neighbors, and I happened to just reach out to his publicist and say, hey, marketing, and say, what's the chance I could get him to call in and be on the show? And they wrote me, I mean, it wasn't even 24 hours, wrote me
Yep.
back and said he would love to. He's going to call in. So
Good.
it's, I may be able to speak during that show. Woody might have to take over. I'm not sure. I know Autumn's joining me because, of course, she wants
Heather like just stuttering and breathing.
Well, you remember. So, okay, you remember when I had Phil Vassar on? How much I could barely talk. I got all red in the face.
Yeah.
It was so. I was like such a fan.
So flustered.
Yeah.
I was so flustered. So who knows what's going to happen?
Well, we hope to on our show. We're going to have our guy come in live in the studio, and he's going to bring his guitar too.
Oh, cool.
And he's got a new song that's at the top of the charts right now. And he's going to play.
Tim McGraw?
No, not Tim. McGraw.
If it was Tim McGraw, I was so going to be here. Like he'd DWC me like up against the window.
Alan Jackson?
But I'm so that's awesome. That'd be back to back. Everyone needs to listen in. I mean, look at GroveStreet.fm bringing in the big names.
That's
Woody?
That's it.
All right. Well, everyone, it is 1:00. So I will leave you guys today. Thank you for being on the show with me, Lee and DW.
Yep. Thanks.
And
thanks for having us.
Make sure you're subscribing to Talk Local to Me, and we'll see you next week.